What's up, Fantasy Football Universe? It is SC Romero, and I'm here with you to bring another Devy Diamond. And today we're going to talk about a guy that hasn't seen much opportunity. He's kind of been overshadowed in his wide receiver room, but this year, the guys are gone, and he's the next up. So let's see what he can do. And I'm talking about LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy. That is today's Devy Diamond right after our intro. Now, what's up, Fantasy Football Universe? Again, this is SC Romero. You can find me at the PPR Show on X, talking all things Devy, football, wrestling, movies. I love it all. Don't forget, if you love these videos, like, comment, subscribe. We have tons of content coming out all season long, and we would love to engage with each and every one of you. But let's talk about our Devy Diamond. Today it's Kyren Lacy, and coming out of high school, he was a four-star prospect out of Thibodaux High School in Thibodaux, Louisiana. And before joining LSU, he was with the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, played with them for a couple seasons, then entered the transfer portal in 2022, and then ended up transferring to LSU. With the Raging Cajuns, he got 50 passes for just 668 yards, but through 25 games, he had 10 total touchdowns. So, there was some relevancy there. And then he transferred to LSU, and he's kind of been buried on the depth chart. We talk about some of their draft picks, right? You have Malik Neighbors come out. You had Brian Thomas, two guys that were really the ones that overshadowed him and didn't really give him the shine that he could have this season. Last year for the LSU Tigers, he had a pretty good season. He had 30 receptions, 558 yards, 7 touchdowns. He had a catch rate of 68%, which is great. So the usage was there. He was getting involved, but of course, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., as you know, had phenomenal seasons. Brian Thomas led the nation in touchdowns. Malik Neighbors, top 10 draft pick, right? So they had great seasons. And now we're entering not a new era, but like a new kind of LSU offense, right? They have a new quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. You no longer have these top two receivers going in. You now have Kyren Lacy and transfer CJ Daniels coming in, as well as some other guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how this LSU offense in general just kind of comes all around, right? It's going to be up to Kyren Lacy to really be that veteran presence, that leader in the wide receiver room, even in the locker room, right? Because he's been with LSU for some time now. He understands the system. He understands what LSU is meant and what they want to bring to the SEC and to the national scale as well. So I expect Kyren Lacy to really step up and get to that next level as far as being a reliable target for Garrett Nussmeier. They've been building up chemistry all offseason. I expect to see that out the gate. And from Kyren Lacy to really have an impactful season, the best yet of his career. This is really an opportunity to have that breakout season for himself. So we're going to see what he can do this upcoming season. It should be great. But let's talk about some strengths and some weaknesses for him. Some strengths. I mean, this kid, physicality. Really, you look at Malik Neighbors and the way Malik Neighbors play the game. Similar to Kyren Lacy, he's really physical when the ball's in the air, when he needs to go up and get it. He has a strong frame. He knows what to do with it. And his catch radius is great. He's often making the adjustments with his hip, with his body to catch the balls that may seem a little off target, which makes him a reliable target for any kind of quarterback, right? Because even if their throw is a little bit sloppy, or that maybe they get hit when they're throwing the ball, or maybe it's just off the bad leg, right, like that, then it's possible for him still make that play. That's how great and athletic he can be. Again, speaking about his hands, it's very reliable, demonstrates the ability to make catches in traffic and really win those contested catches matchup. But again, circling back, that goes into the physicality of the wide receiver that he is. Yards after the catch. I mean, last season, 38% of his yards came after the catch. So you love to see that. I think that will increase. I think that was just because he had a small volume that we didn't see much of in that 38%, but I think that's going to increase. Again, I believe him and Nussmeier have been building up a good chemistry over this offseason, and we're actually going to see Lacy explode into this offense and be one of the primary targets for Nussmeier. Thus, he's going to show his ability to make plays, become that playmaker for the team, and just get plays after the catch to make those yards, substantially. The small gains turn into big games, if you will. And his route running is crisp. He has crisp route running. I wouldn't say his footwork is elite, He definitely has good footwork, but I wouldn't say it's one of the top in the nation or anything like that. But definitely is good, and his route running is crisp. He's making those sharp cuts, he's making those moves, and again his hip movement, the way he adjusts when the ball's not really where he needs to be, he's making those moves and making it happen. So I do love to see that. I think he could definitely evolve a little bit more in the route running, but it's still a good strength of his to have. Some areas of improvement. I don't really see that top end speed. What I mean by that, he does have good acceleration off the line, but I don't see that top end speed to necessarily take the top off the defense, right? To necessarily over be over the secondary to get those extra yards. He can get those yards once the ball's in his hands, but as far as before, just getting open, I don't see him taking the top off the defense. He's to get open just by using his good route running skills in general, right? His release technique at the line, he does get pressed a little bit, and that's a worry, especially against bigger defensive backs if they're press coveraging him and getting him at the line. His release technique can get disturbed, if you will, at the line in those situations. And in that sense, it ruins his route timing, which in sense ruins the quarterback, right? Because he's not able to get to where he needs to be at those right times. So quarterback's looking elsewhere, throwing elsewhere. So that causes Kyren Lacy to not have that production that he should be having. So all those things play into some general factors. So that release technique when he's getting pressed at the line, I think needs to be elevated just a little bit, just to again be a little bit more physical at the line when he's getting pressed, rather than physical when he's going out and getting the ball. Blocking, a lot of receivers, not every wide receiver is good at blocking. That's very rare when you see a really solid blocker. So I think that's obviously an area of improvement as well. Somewhere where he can continue to just enhance his blocking techniques to elevate the run game. They're not going to pass every single play, right? They have good running backs there. So to elevate that, he needs to become a better blocker on the outside to give the running back even better lanes running out as well. Now, consistency, it's this could be because again the overshadowing of Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but in some games he has one catch, in some games he has five, and some he has three. There's not really a fair balance in it, if you will, especially with the targets coming in as well. So I want to see more of that. And again, stepping into this primary role of potentially being the wide receiver one for LSU, you definitely want to see that. That's an area where I think he needs to excel at, just showing he could be the go-to guy, the every target guy, the reliable guy for Nussmeier, for the LSU offense in general, to gain that consistency. Now, I don't need him to get 8 receptions a game. That's fantastic if he does, but I just want to see a better median in his catching, in his targets, something between maybe 7 to 9 targets a game, and anywhere between, 4 to 6 receptions a game, something like that, but a little bit more consistent like that, not all around where you have 1, 7, 6. What what I mean? Like just more consistency along that basis as well is what I would love to see. And this is the year that he can do it. As far as his eligibility in the draft, he's eligible next year to come out in 2025. Right now, because of what we haven't seen, I see him as a day 3 prospect. Could he have a big season and blow up and become a day 2? Sure. Could he have a big season and blow up and be a day 1? Yeah, a little unlikely. He would have to have like a great, phenomenal season, which anything can happen in college football. So is it possible? Sure. But right now, because we don't know really what we're gaining Kyren Lacy, this will be the first year he's coming into that prominence role at LSU, at a top premier college, university in the nation, and Louisiana State University. So right now, a day 3 prospect. Now, there's a lot can change. And with that, I think a good fit could be the Tennessee Titans, right? We've already seen DeAndre Hopkins getting older, right? He's battling through some injuries. Hopkins isn't with them, through next year. He's probably out with them. They could resign him, sure, but he's probably out. Calvin Ridley's with them through 2027, but Calvin Ridley's also getting older. And I think right now what Tennessee lacks, you have Treylon Burks there, so I get it, but I think they lack that physicality outside wide receiver. Maybe it's Calvin Ridley with them there, but even DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think he's necessarily a physical receiver. I think he's one of the best receivers, or was one of the best receivers in the league, but it's not because of physicality. It's just because of his reliable hands, his technique, right? Calvin really could become that physical wide receiver. I don't know if that will be it. So I think that's something they lack. And having someone like Kyren Lacy could be it. The benefit is he's not someone that I don't think needs to start right away in the NFL. I don't think he will start right away in the NFL. I think he's one of those 3-year wide receivers. So he's definitely going to be a good taxi stash for you in dynasty type of leagues. And I think it's someone having like a Kyren Lacy to train behind could benefit him further because once Kyren Lacy's out, then guess what? Lacy's gonna be ready, and he already knows how to wait. Right? He's patiently been waiting behind some top receivers at LSU to get his shot, and now here's an opportunity for him to do it again in a Tennessee offense to then be that guy, potentially be with Will Levis if that's the quarterback in the future, to have that connection with them, and again have that year 3 breakout. So I think with them lacking that physicality to me and their wide receiver core, that could be a big spot for him to come in, learn the next level and then understand the game and make it there. As far as a fantasy impact, again, I think this is a breakout year for him. With Neighbors and Thomas Jr. gone, there's over 200 vacant targets. I think it was somewhere closer like 215, 220 vacant targets with them gone. Someone's going to need to step up and take a big chunk of those. And Kyren Lacy definitely can be that wide receiver to do that. So with that, I'm taking him where I can. I'm trading him where I can because I think this is a value asset that can definitely grow in value off a great season of being a premier target in an LSU offense. So I definitely think at a college standpoint, he's going to blow the roof off. He's going to be top wide receiver this year. I didn't want to say necessarily top 10, but maybe a top 20 wide receiver in the nation as far as yardage or maybe even in touchdowns, right? They're going to throw the ball. They're going to get it out. And honestly, Nussmeier has a better arm than Jane Daniels, in my opinion. So we should see a lot more passing this year. So that could be huge for him. On the pro level, Lacy will probably start as like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 with some wide receiver 2 upside. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't think he's going to start right out the gate. I think he's someone that's going to take some time to develop his skill set, to understand what he needs to do to get to that next level. So it's going to be a development. So for me, let's just say rookie drafts next year. I think he could be a potential, maybe a late round 2 pick, but definitely a round 3 or later. But at that point, you want to stash him. And don't be worried because I do think he's a 3-year breakout. So he's not going to break out season 1, season 2, but then that year 3, he's going to get a shot and he's going to shine. So he's going to be a taxi stash to go into your fantasy team with some wide receiver 2 upside if he gets that shot, to join a team that maybe lacking a wide receiver 2. Maybe he goes to Arizona because Michael Wilson's not working out. So now it's him and Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. But I think that's something where, in your rookie drafts, he's someone to stash because I think the upside is there. You just want to be patiently waiting like he patiently waits for his opportunity. That's all we have for our Devy Diamond today. Again, LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy. If you like us, follow us on X, me, SC Romero at the PPR. So Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05, Aaron St. Dennis at FF Mad Sciences, and Jeremy Solman, FF_Rebel, all on X. And then don't forget to follow the Fantasy Football Universe at the FF Universe on X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have everything coming this season. It's exciting. We're ready for it. Daily content coming out, and we're here for you at the Fantasy Football Universe. Until next time, I am SC Romero. Thank you for tuning in. This has been great for the Devy Diamonds. Peace.